In the last video, we learned about how to model this part, so I'm going to assume if you are in this video that you have modeled your part. To put the machining toolpaths on here, we're going to change from our Design tab to our Manufacture tab. We will have 3 different operations here. So we'll have this slot, so that will be a slot feature, a pocket feature, and a drilled hole feature. So we will have 3 different types of operations. There are several different ways that we could do this. One way is to, we always want to try to make it as time efficient as possible, which might mean that we use the same, so when we change a bit, so we could use a larger bit for this and then a smaller bit for that, and do it in one pass, and do this part in fewer passes, and then exactly the right size drill bit to drill these holes, and that would be one very short, down here, down through there with the same bit. However, if the dimensions aren't the same here as here, and we have to use different bits, that means tool changes, and tool changes take time. So you kind of have to play with it and look and see, okay, if I don't do a tool change, the trade-off is that it's going to take me, I'm going to have to use a smaller one because this looks like my smallest dimension, which then is going to mean that I've got to take more passes in here. But if that difference is less than what it would take, if adding a tool change would actually add more time into it, then I'm better off just taking more passes than adding. And really the only way to do that is to just find out what your time is going to be. So let's first look and see what tool we need for this slot, because I know from looking at my drawing that this was a 0.25 inch diameter hole, so I could use a 1/4 inch drill on this one. But can I, and I can definitely use it here, but can I use it here? The way to find out is to click and inspect, and then we're going to click on this line and then that line, and that's going to tell us that the distance between these 2 lines is 0.125. Well, that's significantly smaller than 0.25. So this is a bigger bit than here. So I would have to use a smaller bit, at least for the slot. So what I could do is do multiple setups and check and see which one has the best machining time. Right. Since I know that this is 0.125 and that is my smallest dimension, that's 1/8 of an inch. So I would know that I couldn't use anything larger than 1/8 of an inch bit to cut this. I could cut all of this with 1/8 of an inch bit though. So let's see what that looks like. So I'm going to do a setup. New setup. Make sure that's milling. I'm going to change my, keep it at model orientation. I'm going to change my stock point to the front top left corner. I'm going to choose, I'm going to leave the relative mode as relative size, but I'm going to make it no additional stock. And I'm going to click OK. Now I'm going to add the slot first. So I'm going to go 2D, slot. I'm going to select my 1/8 inch end mill. I'm going to leave the rest of that default. I'm going to change my geometry, select my geometry to be the bottom of that pocket. Okay. And then my heights, I'm going to leave all those at default, and my bottom is selected contour. My top is stock top, and that's what I want. Passes, we're going to do multiple depths. I'm going to make sure that my maximum step down is no more than 50% of my tool diameter. So half of 0.125 divided by 2. You can make it do math for you. Okay, oops, I did not. I'm going to uncheck the stock to leave and should be able to leave everything in linking the same. So click OK. Check my tool paths. I'm going to run a simulation to make sure that it does what I think it's going to do. Okay. And if I look really closely, I can see that because of the fact that my tool is round, so there were some stock here that got rounded off when the drawing, it shows extra stock left, so that's okay though. Okay, so I'm going to exit the simulation, and now I'm going to add the second operation, which I'm going to add the holes next. So we do a 2D drilling. Drilling. There we go. Tool, if I leave it at the same tool just to see what happens. So, geometry. Okay. Heights should be good. Okay, wrap it out, click OK. Let's simulate that. Maybe I should slow that down. That's not what I wanted. Let's go back and look at that operation again. I clearly did not check something I should have checked. Let's see if that makes a difference. There we go. Okay. Alright, we just have this left. I'm going to use the same tool. I'm going to see what my total time is here in a minute, but this would be a 2-day pocket. I'm going to leave the tool the same. I'm going to set my geometry to be the bottom of the pocket. I'm going to leave my heights at default. My number of passes, I'm going to check multiple depths. Make sure that my step over and step down are half of the tool diameter, and they are. And we're going to uncheck stock to leave and click OK. Oops. No, I don't want to ignore the warnings. Why is that a ramp spindle speed at 0? Reset to system default. I don't know how that got set at 0. Alright, my tool paths actually look good. So let's simulate that. Quite a few passes. Okay, it did cut it, but it did take quite a few passes. Alright, this is how I find out. I'm going to choose the entire operation, so not just one piece of it. I'm going to choose Actions and Simulate. And then I'm going to go look at my statistics. And I could run it if I wanted to. That's telling me that my machining time is 11.5 minutes. Okay, so let's remember that. All right, and now we're going to copy this. I'm going to duplicate it. Okay. I have the same exact operation. I am going to suppress this one. So let's right click and suppress it. I'm going to click yes. All three of those are now suppressed. You can see it because it has a line through it. All right, now I'm going to make alterations. I'm leaving the slot the same. My circle, I'm going to change to the 0.25 because that was the whole diameter of my circle. So let's make that tool.
I didn't feel that sense of urgency with you. No.
Okay. All right. Okay, so I just changed that tool diameter. I'm going to change the other one as well. Oh, come on, go away. Okay. Alright. And if you see that turned into a green check mark, it was really quick, but it had to recalculate the paths. I should probably uncheck the circular, now that I think about it. Where did I do that? Change it back to wrap it in since it's the same size as the hole now. Alright, it recalculated the tool paths. Okay, now I don't want to change my tool twice because that definitely adds time. So let's make this the same as the last one. So that would be the 1/4 inch and click select. And we should be able to leave everything else the same. Click OK, let it recalculate the tool path. And now let's simulate that entire setup. Right, my simulation showed an instantaneous tool change. That's not the way it goes down in real life. So we'll have to estimate how much time it takes to change the tool. But if I look at statistics, I've knocked off, what was that, like a little over a minute, maybe about a minute, maybe 45 seconds. So it's going to take me longer than 45 seconds to change a tool. Well, maybe right about that. It'd be close. So it didn't save me that much time, though, to change the tool out. Let's try one more scenario. Let's duplicate this. And now I'm going to suppress this one. And we're going to change this one. We're going to leave these two the same. So let's see what happens if we put 3 tool changes in there. And we can change this. Actually, we can't. I was thinking we could use a larger diameter bit on this, but we can't because my radius right here, if I go to a bigger than 0.25, it's going to make a bigger radius and it will be out of tolerance. So actually I can't do that. 3 different tools because this radius limits me to this bit right here. So let's hit cancel and we're going to hit undo. But that gives you the opportunity, and the reason I suppressed instead of editing this was so that I can easily go back and forth between the two. So is it worth it to do a tool change in the middle of this? Maybe. if I'm only saving 45 seconds, I'm probably going to just use the same tool and not have a tool change in it. But like I said, there's multiple ways to do it. So think about different options as you go, and you want to be as time efficient as you can, because in a production environment, speed counts. So however many parts I can produce in an hour, if I can increase that, then I can increase how much, or I can decrease the cost for that part. So it's kind of a judgment call.